There is a ritual, a sort of AI alchemy that we must become comfortable with doing if we want our words and our actions to have real power. When you work with AI, it's important to remember that we are the ones with the vision. We are the ones steering the ship, providing the direction, deciding how to shape our reality and what effect we want to have in the world. We must keep this in mind when we use AI. AI is an extremely powerful tool. It can provide us with an endless source of raw materials, but it's ultimately up to us to transmute that raw material into gold. How to take the output of AI and use it to create something that's actually good. A quick example of what I'm talking about here. I just want to show you the chat where I created these images just now. Starting up at the top, I started with the prompt, create an image of an alchemist, wise and powerful, performing a ritual that transmutes the raw materials of letters and words, which should appear in an ancient language, into gold. And then just a few keywords to set the mood of the output. This was the first image that I got. And listen, I believe in equality. Women can absolutely be alchemists, but I myself am a man, so I wanted a character that I could relate to more. So I start refining and I said, make it a man. And again, just to be clear, by refining, I don't mean that it's better because it's a man. I just mean that it's more in line with my vision. So then it gave me this. And honestly, I like the vibe of this one. But again, I'm trying to match the vision in my head. So I kept refining and I said, make him less frail looking. Again, no disrespect to anybody. The point here is sculpting towards a vision. So then it gave me this. And wow, this alchemist has been working out. Okay, these things right here that are flying through the air, these are macros. These are macronutrients and this is his pre-workout. He's going to drink this and get swole. So just working through a few more variations, I finally got to this guy and I decided this would be my alchemist. So listen, okay, this woman up here, she was the master, okay? She was that other guy's teacher. Okay, this guy, this is her husband. So you can tell because he's got a wedding ring on and everything. So they teach together, right? We're giving respect where respect is due. And they actually taught this guy how to do the alchemy. All right, so we need those other guys too. Oh, and this guy, this is his gym buddy. All right, so from there I moved on. This one was pretty straightforward. And I mean, it's not perfect. There's some like weird landscape stuff happening here in the background, but this one didn't have to be perfect. The vibe is there. All right, so my vision for the next one, I said an AI robot with good intentions trying to be helpful by spewing out endless words, and an alchemist controlling the flow of the AI's sloppy words into a river of golden words and symbols. Now I want to point out here, I use this term an AI robot with good intentions. I'm purposefully being a little bit vague there. Like, what does this even look like, an AI robot with good intentions? By being kind of vague, I'm giving the AI license to hallucinate. I'm saying I want it to be creative so that I can see what it comes up with. But for the second part, I knew what I wanted. So the words are a little bit more clear. An alchemist controlling the flow of the AI's sloppy words into a river of golden words and symbols. It still sounds very metaphorical, but I'm using some important keywords here like alchemist, so it knows that we're talking about one of our characters from earlier. I'm talking about controlling the flow, right? And based on the context of what we were doing, we have this concept of the flow here. So because we're talking about this in context, it knows what I'm talking about. And then I say the AI's sloppy words, right? So I'm giving more hints, into a river of golden words and symbols. And again, this seems metaphorical, but it makes sense in context because that's literally what we have here. So looking at the result, this was the first thing it gave me. This was one of our teacher alchemists, which isn't what I wanted. I wanted the main character, but I was actually pleasantly surprised with how it interpreted the AI robot. I thought this was very cool, very different from the usual robot images that we're used to seeing. Also, the way that it represented this stream of sloppy AI words into the golden flow, I thought worked really nice as well. But I wanted it to be our main character, so I told it to use the alchemist from this image, and then we got our final image here. I actually like this image so much that I wanted to use it as my cover art for YouTube. So I told it to stretch it out, and I gave it the 21:9 aspect ratio. So it gave me this, and this is good, but it kind of just extended the edges when I really wanted these to be farther away from each other. So that's what I told it, and I ended up with this. Now this is pretty nice, but I wanted it to create a few more variations, just so that I could pick like the best of 4. It's good, but do just a few more so that I can pick the best of 4. So I did that and it generated the exact same image 4 times. And you know, that's how it goes sometimes. This is a useful technique, but it didn't work this time. But I thought I'd still show you just so you have one more technique for your tool belt. One thing that's important for working with AI is to be able to recognize opportunities as they come up. I might want to use this alchemist character again. I'm going to create a character sheet of him. And I can do that just by saying Create a character sheet of our alchemist character with different views, front, back, and side. Okay, and here's what it gave me. And this looks like the Marvel version. This guy's about to go team up with Doctor Strange. So probably what happened here is I was talking to the agent, and the agent added a bunch of stuff into the image prompt that doesn't really help us. So I'm going to be a little bit more specific. I'm going to let it know this looks very different. Use a minimal, simple prompt, something like, I'm just literally pasting in the exact thing I told it. Let's see if that gives us a better result. All right, let's see how it, oh, for God's sake. Okay, do you see what's happening here? This is the AI trying to be helpful. It's doing this right here. It's spewing out a bunch of slop, and we're doing the process of alchemy to turn the slop into gold. So let's start from where we were, and we're gonna say, use the specific prompt. I'm pasting in what I had before, and I'm gonna actually put this in quotes. I'm adding simple, minimal, no text, dark background. Now, these kinds of things should be the default, but they're not default. The way models are trained are to be overly helpful and over-engineer everything. I love that it even gave him a name. This is Master Elias. All right, so we're getting closer, but still not quite there. Also, that doesn't look like him anymore. Let's try one more time. We're gonna add no magic energy. We'll say only the character. All right, and I'm going to tell it create 4 variations. All right, now I added this piece right here, which you can do in a single tool call, because when I did this earlier, the agent decided to actually split it across 3 different tool calls, but it doesn't have to. You can create multiple images in a single tool call. All right, let's see how it did. All right, and it took a few tries, but we finally got what I was looking for. And this is a really good example of why it's a good idea to do 4 variations sometimes, because if you'll notice, this guy at the bottom doesn't really look like our character. All right, so this conversation now has all of the context of us going through this process and making a proper character sheet, which means that I should now be able to just say, do the same for the AI monolith, which I definitely originally asked for an AI robot, but this is definitely not a robot. This is a monolith. All right, so I ended up going back and forth with it a few times. It gave me this first one. It was just like a little bit too smooth. So I asked it what the prompt was. And you see, you have to be really careful about this stuff. This is AI trying to be helpful, but being super unhelpful in the process. Because to create these, it's feeding in this image right here, or rather this image right here. And the image should be enough. It can see what this is from the image itself, and it doesn't need extra information. So the fact that it put this extra information in the prompt actually changed what the output looked like, and it made it a little bit more smooth than we needed it to be. So I told it the exact prompt I wanted it to use, and it still gave me some weird results. It's apparently really hard for it to visualize this thing. So I tried it one more time, and I think this one's the closest. So just to finish up this session, I'm going to tell it to write us a document that references our original alchemist character, the image of him doing alchemy with the AI, the YouTube cover art, variation 1 from the final alchemist character sheet, say this sheet set, and variation 2 from the final monolith set. All right, so let's go take a look at what it created. All right, here I'm in my docs. Here's the character images document, and there's our original alchemist character, alchemy. Here he is doing alchemy with a monolith. Oh my God, that is, wow. Yeah, it clearly did not know which one I meant there, but that's okay, we can change it. Let's remove that, and to create an image, I can either hit this button here, or I can type exclamation square bracket, and then I can find the actual one that I want, which is right here. And then finally, here's my character sheet. All right, we have to think about this document in context, right? So here the agent added this extra information, which was relevant to its context, but it's not relevant to this document. So let's remove that. And then finally, our AI monolith. So let's remove this here too. All right, and then up here, so we have original alchemist character, right? Like let's make this make sense for this character sheet. Let's just say alchemist character is still kind of lame. Let's just call him the alchemist. There we go. This explanation here isn't really adding anything, and everything else looks pretty good here. So this whole thing was a pretty impromptu session. I actually had something completely different planned for this video, but I saw some images that I liked, some characters that I wanted to hold on to, so I decided to process them a little bit and create something that I can use over and over again in the future. Along the way, the AI gave us a lot of slop, but through persistence and carefully crafting our words, we were able to turn that slop into gold. And the gold in this case is a nicely curated document that has our reusable assets in it. So that's it, guys. Hope this was useful to you. Like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.